How you doing? I'll be right back. Gonna put a few guide pass out. Hang on a sec. Okie doke. Where am I? Hi guys. I'll be there in a second. Getting everything all set up. Be right there. Hang on. Okay, I'm back. How you doing, everyone? Hi, Mohammed. Ilko. Oh, good. Thanks, Ilko. Hi, Eddie. How you doing? Uh, man, I tell you, what would you guys like to talk about? I've got a couple things in mind, but I want to hear what you think is a good topic, something that we can kick around. We have nothing planned. It's no guardrails, so to speak. We do tend to try to keep our language decent, so we'll do that. Otherwise, anything you want to talk about. Um, let me bring something up. Um, Lara. Oh, Urban Jurgenson release. Okay. Happen to have on my Urban Jurgenson right now. Mohammed, I've been waiting for the, hi Dominic. I've been waiting for the new Urban Jurgenson. Has that come out yet, Mohammed? Also, the Lara. I'm a very big fan of what Lara can do, not not what they've done recently. Oh, what happened to Urban Jurgenson? Okay. Happened to have a story just right with me right now about that. Um, okay. Got my Urban Jurgenson. How I got my Urban Jurgenson. I can't afford Urban Jurgensons. Okay. This model, I think they had maybe one model or something, some other models that were cheaper than, but the bottom level model with I think they call it a P4 caliber movement. They had a P4 and a P8. The P8 was what is that thing called? This special kind of escapement. Anyway, so I was trying to get a Daniel Roth Patek Papillon. Love that watch. And I was doing a deal with this Japanese seller, and everything was going great on both sides, except then at the time, I still do. What I have guardrails on is my bank account, and I have a bank account that I use for buying and watches for watch deals. It's sort of tied up right now, but by and large, I use this one account. Is a charge card. That one I use, and it's got a limit on it. And so, making this deal with the Japanese for this Papillon, everything was working out fine. It just was sort of pretty near the top of my budget, so to speak. So then the Commodore, not Commodore, but Commodore C24, Chrono 24, they added this extra tax to the state tax of Connecticut, and that put it over the limit of my credit card. I mean, it was like a few $100s is all. And we couldn't work out something, so it was sort of one of those things I just backed out of. And I didn't back out of it. It just was like, I give up. It wasn't meant for me, and I was out, crying in my beer, and I came across the deal that they had with Urban Jurgenson wanted to unload all of their current stock because they had just been sold to a group led by Kari Butenlanen. So the prices were almost half price. And so there was one that had a P4 in it, brand new. And so I got it for right around half price. So I was happy with that. Didn't think about it, but then I thought, well, I'm very interested to see what Kari Butenlanen has done with it. Nothing so far. So still waiting on that one. Oh, wow. Okay. Is Kari give up on releasing the company? I don't know. Right now, Kari Butenlanen has got his hands full. He bought Comble Mine. He bought, what else did he buy? Butenlanen and Catton. And both of those have been challenges. I'll put it that way. He was supposed to come out. He bought it in 2022. I think his group did. And they planned to come out with all their new UJs in 2023. That never happened. And it hasn't happened this year. So I don't know what they're going to do. Anyway, Eddie, whoa, what would be a pitch to get a young guy interested in watches? Trying to convince my friend, but I'm striking out with my strategies. I don't try. That's usually, if somebody tried to get me interested in taking up knitting or something like that, I was like, oh, I think the best way to do it is simply by enjoying a hobby. I think you're able to, that would convince most people. Just enjoying it, the things that you do with it, the discussions you have, sort of what's attracted you to it. But I don't think I've ever tried to talk anybody into it or saying, hey, you got to start collecting. Nah, you don't have to. You can collect nothing for all I care. I mean, there's it's funny, on the one hand, this friend of mine, he and I have been friends for years. I mean, like 30 years plus. And all of a sudden he got interested in it. I was yakking about it all the time, but I was never trying to sell anything. Same thing with my brother, who's I've sent him some watches and stuff, but I told him, this is sort of his interest just isn't there. He's really interested in cars. And so he sends me pictures of oh God, he used to live in Carmel, California. And then I think there's Pismo Beach is nearby, and they have the Concours d'Elegance, which is a car show that has all of these fabulous cars and stuff. And I love cars. I'm really into them, but I'm not into collecting them. If I ever got anything near collectible, it would be a Morgan +4, or just a regular Morgan 2-seater. That was, but man, I tell you, a Bugatti, one of those old Bugattis, all kinds of interesting things like that. But I don't think you really can sort of not arm twist, but huckster somebody into collecting watches. I think the best way, somebody, a young guy or a young friend, saying, "Hey, this is what I do." I had a friend. This guy was he was an what is it? ADF, the alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. He was an ADF agent for the federal government, and he was into growing roses. And the guy just grew these great roses. He's this real macho guy with his big motorcycle, and he and I became friends. But he was into roses, and cool, but I never got into that. Caesar, how you doing? I see. I got your probation officer let you come. I'm so happy to see you. Great to see you. Hi, Junior. Hi, HRM. It's an incredible time to get into watches right now. I've seen pieces that used to sell around $4,000 are now for $1,800. Yeah, HRM. There are some good ones available. Love Morgan +4. I'd collect Morgans if I didn't need a mechanic. Yeah, and also something sort of a termite, something to control termites. What is your opinion about Atelier Haute complications by Vladimir? I don't know about them, so I just don't know about Vladimir's stuff, Mohammed. Hi, Stephen. How you doing? Oh, Detroit. How is Detroit these days? Years and years ago, I was in Detroit in what by Detroit standards would be considered a dangerous neighborhood. And I was lost, and I was trying to get over to Windsor. I was on my way to visit some friends up in Toronto. And so I started this really tough neighborhood. And so I stopped and I asked the guys how to get the bridge to Toronto. And it was sort of like they were super nice. They were really nice people. And they helped me get where I wanted to go. So I've got nothing but good things to say about Detroit, Stephen. Hey, Dominic. Bring your friend to a watch show. That's a good idea, Dominic. That's poor guy. The thing is that it takes a while to get used to the prices of the watches that we like. I mean, there's the first high horology watch that I bought was I found a Patek Philippe for I think it was like $4,500, and I thought that was the end of the world. There'd never be another higher priced watch I would ever buy in my life. And this is a while ago, but my God, I'll tell you, that would be a hard thing. You go to a watch show, it depends. Some watch shows, what's the one that, there's one watch show that they really have a lot of reasonably priced watches. There are other ones that, like the ones we go to, the Dominic, I was thinking, you go to the watch type show, and it's just like, oh my God. Hi, Midlands Drum Lessons. How you doing? Gloucestershire, UK. I lived in Cambridge for about, well, it was called a term. It was a Lent term way back when. And I guess is that in the Midlands or not? I had this ancestry thing. I traced my ancestors, and they all from Cambridge. On my dad's side, they're all from Cambridgeshire. So it's like I got to hide that part of my heritage. HRM. A buddy of mine picked up a Tudor FXD for 1750. That's a good buy. They used to go for around 3,500. Hey, that's good news. Good town and coming back. Yes, Stephen. I think the same thing. Yeah, Detroit's Detroit's one of those really interesting places. There have been a lot of places that have been identified as being part of the quote Rust Belt that seem to be making quite a comeback, and it's great to see. Hey, Rustan, how you doing? Wind Up Watch Fair, Stephen. That's exactly the one I was thinking of. If you took a friend to a Wind Up Watch Fair, those have some really great priced watches. Rustam, I know you have a soft spot for Girard-Perregaux. What's your opinion on Loretto 42 millimeter model and their new 1800 caliber? I don't know that much about their new they have an 1800. Is that an 1800 semi oscillations per hour caliber? Midlands. Oh wait. Oh, sorry, Rustan. Wrong guy. That's okay. Hello from Bilbao, Spain. Hello, Rustam. My wife has got family from Spain. We got family from everywhere. Dominic, Bill, some people aren't collectors. They don't collect anything. Yeah, I know. I never start off as a collector, but somehow I end up that way. HRM. Oh, Midlands. Let me see. I moved from Midlands to Gloucestershire, but didn't change my business name. Cambridgeshire is very nice. Yeah, I enjoyed my time there. I didn't drive. I rode a bicycle everywhere. Just stayed on bicycles. I figured no way in the world I could. After my driving was pretty much the California freeways. I was a freeway driver. I could go anywhere on a freeway. There used to be a thing on Saturday Night Live called the Californians, and they'd talk about their freeways. That was me. But now here in Connecticut, they call them surface roads that aren't their main highways. And the main, what I call freeways, they call interstates. So it's a different environment. They got a cool vintage watch fair here in the Netherlands. In the Netherlands, they got all. I'm going to be in the Netherlands next March. I can hardly wait. Anyway, tons of people and a wide variety of watches. Sellers come from all over Europe. It's called Rickarik. Is it in March? What is your definition of a dress watch? Boy, that's a good question. Usually this would be an example of a dress watch. It's just a sort of a thin watch. This is a little fat, but otherwise it's dressy. Time only. This has got time only plus the date. So that's sort of, I don't know, that there are all kinds of dress watches. My Chanel Monsieur, I consider that a dress watch, even though it's a substantial watch. With my Van Cleef and Arpels, now that is a true dress watch. Pierre Arpels, who designed the original one, and then Jean-Marc Viderec, who made the new one with the dual times on it, made it very thin. It's a very thin white gold watch. That's very much of a dress watch, and it's but with dual times and a retrograde. It doesn't fit the sort of the quote classic example of a dress watch. To me, a classic, sort of the classic example would be one of the older Calatravas. That would fit. Patrimony by Vacheron Constantin. The one Rolex Cellini, which I think they've gotten rid of most of them, that would be another dress watch. There are a lot of different, basically, like I said, sort of time only as a dress watch. I think it's 4 hertz. They had 3300 now. Now lot 1800 is bigger than the previous 1800. Okay. What's sort of different? Okay, that's anyway, Stephen. That's the best I can do on that. Ilko. Good. 21600 Rutem. Okay, it's called the GP. This is a Girard-Perregaux. Yeah, Girard-Perregaux. Girard-Perregaux used to make a lot of the movements for Vacheron Constantin, Patek Philippe, Audemars Piguet. No, they have their own watches. What is it called? I think it's their 1945 is the one that I like the best. Hey, Larzard, how you doing? Oh, it's on April 6th. Nuts. Rustem, for a great watch process, I think the best strategy is just patiently wait and monitor dedicated web pages, then to push the price even lower than the seller. Act like a vulture. There you go. Act like a vulture. Wait until the price is dead and pouts. Hi, Obs92. But service of these watches are done by Van Cleef. No, good point. They're done. I think what you'd let me tell you a story about that real quick about Van Cleef and Arpels. It sort of bugged me. A friend of mine got a Van Cleef and Arpels RDC at D'ailleurs, okay, which is time here and time elsewhere. And so he wasn't sure about whether it was a real thing or not. And so I contacted Aguinar, and he said, yeah, it's a real thing, without a doubt. And, it's just sort of, first of all, it's a watch that would be very hard to duplicate. And it probably cost more to duplicate one than it would be to just go buy one, at MSRP. But what bugged me about it, they said, they wanted to send it to Van Cleef and Arpels and said, "Hey, is this a real one?" And they said, "Well, it cost them $2,000 plus 6 months." Oh, I thought, what? When I got my Patek Philippe, I didn't have the papers, and so I went to get the archives, and I think they charged me, it was 125 Swiss francs, which is well worth it. It was best investment I made. At least as far as that Patek Philippe is concerned, and I had nothing but good things happen with that Patek Philippe. Finally, I realized somebody scared me about wearing it. They said, "Oh, you shouldn't wear that one except the very formal things because it's too delicate." That got to me, and like a fool, I believed him, and so I had it for a while. Then I quit wearing it because I was afraid of breaking it. So I finally sold it. Okay, let's see what you got. Midlands. Personally, dress watches are 36 millimeters or smaller. Yeah, that's the one that Arpels has is like something like 42 millimeters. It's really thin, but it's got a width to it. I think Midlands. I mean, that's not a bad point because I think originally that's what they were. They were smaller, and sort of the idea behind a dress watch is something that you're really not worrying too much about the time. It's sort of like a piece of jewelry, and so that you're out on the town having fun, so you're not gonna have to worry about the time. You got your tuxedo on, and your girlfriend or your date or your wife or someone is all decked out, and so that's where the dandy comes in. That's why the dandy is such a great dress watch. Patent leather band and everything. Very hard to tell the time, very hard to wind and set. What a great watch it is. And then it has this Ferris wheel slowly going around that just, like, this. HRM, I've been eyeing the Sin Meisterbund. Just such an incredible watch. Uses a Langenheim movement. Yeah, that was the one that that has the Langenheim. I think at one time, Rolf Lang also made something for. It wasn't Sin. It was starts with a T. I can't remember the name of it anyway, but he made a watch band and he put in a minute repeater. I'll think of the watch brand later. It was a German watch brand now. Hey, Tim, how you doing? Hey, Caesar. Caesar's awake again. I'm watching from my cell. Now, for most people, that means a cell phone, but for Caesar, it might be another kind of cell. Good time is when you could get, FP Jorn for a discount. Yeah, it seems like it was almost a mythical time. Even then, though, there wasn't much of a discount. The thing was that the MSRP was a lot lower. The MSRPs started, I think, for a blue around 20,000, something like that. But you couldn't get one for much less than that. But they were certainly gettable. What do you think of Dornbooth, Unsunda? I've followed them for a long time because they were sort of interesting because they came out of, they were doing something, and then there was the what do they call it? The reconciliation of Germany, the reconnection of East and West Germany, and they became what is Germany today. And at that time, they started making moves. Somehow they felt, or I got the sense that they felt they couldn't do anything under the old regime, and then they sort of woke up after the reconnection. So they're an interesting brand, and it's a father-son thing. And I think the son has been doing more and more lately. But I saw how they started, I think, with a 6498, and then slowly merged it or morphed it into one of their own, which is an interesting thing. There happened to be one I just got a soft spot for. What is your watch wearing routine? Do you have a rotation? Yeah, pretty much I have a rotation. There's certain watches I just enjoy wearing a lot more than others. But even though I'm running out of watches that I don't like to wear, I almost have none, and I just sort of try to pick one after the other. This one, my Urban Jurgenson is one that it keeps wonderful time. It's a good weight. It's just everything about it I like. But then I got 20 others I feel the same way about. Yeah, it's like a really sad state of affairs. And then I have, I tell you, one watch I really enjoy is my Fabergé. There's nothing about it that would say, hey, that's a boy, oh boy, people are lining up to get that Fabergé Alexi. They missed the boat on that one. It was there were some around for very low price. They had like listed it, I think originally at 15, 20,000, something like that. I was able to pick one up brand new for 4 and told everybody about it. And I think some couple guys able to grab one, and then they disappeared. The other ones went back up to 20,000 or something. It just sort of, but it's, I don't know what it is about that watch. It's well balanced. It's just nice watch. Doesn't have the most attractive dial on it, but I still like it. I mean, it's got the guilloche and hand done guilloche. This one has a Grenache that I like. My Chanel with the retrograde and the, it did every one of them. And then my FP Journe, the Resonance, it's not a bad watch. It's a wonderful watch, but it's got 2 little ones, and I like bigger dials now for these. Tutima, that's the one I was thinking of. I was trying to remember Tutima watches is the one that I think Rolf Lang made the minute repeater for. Absness 92. I say instead of full dress watch, look for semi-formal. Yeah, that might be a good idea. Caesar, do you have a chance to check the 3D printed Hatha watches lab series in the GPA? Oh man, I didn't look at those, Caesar. I've been really busy. It's just, I mean, like, there's so many fires I've been trying to put out or control. It's just like there's been so much going on, and man, just challenges all around. Sin has only one watch, which has the UWD, what is it, 33.1 or 33.2, I think. I think that one has a 33.1. Yeah, I know. Shapiro used in one of his watches. He charged something like, I think the watch, that movement. I wish I'd bought some of the movements early on. I forgot they used to cost about originally around 1 or 2,000, and then you couldn't get them anymore. Shapiro, put one of his. What did he have? He had the guilloche that he did with his Rose engine by hand, and he charged 60,000 for that. Wow, that. Patek Philippe, I think, charges $1,000 now for a factory certificate, limited on how often they will give it out for a particular watch. Oh, that's interesting, Dominic. I didn't know they charge $1,000 now, huh? There is one Patek Philippe watch that I do want, but I don't have the money now. I don't have the money to buy anything. I just bought 2 great watches, so I'm broke. Yeah, Patek Philippe has, and this is all, I mean, when I say a Patek Philippe that I would think of buying, they're all pre-2009. Razzia, it's the exact same movement L&H used, just different decoration techniques. Yeah, HRM, Langenheim used that movement. Originally, it came out and was part of this, what do they call it? The Erwin Worken Dresden, UWD, which was supposed to be somehow separate. This is when Marco Lang was there. And now I think what they did is that they quit selling it to people. I mean, you couldn't just go buy one anymore. And then they started using their new one called the Hercule or call it something like that, but that one has a center second, and I think it's called the 33.2 instead of the 33.1, if I'm not mistaken. It could be on that. True, with your father's good Wi-Fi reception. That's the thing. Yeah, I just, once they send me the psych ward, all I care about is good Wi-Fi. Oh, I have to confess, I got banned from CT. Oh no, for lowballing too much? They banned. I never heard of them banning anybody. God, I've lowballed there all the time, and half the time I get the price of the lowball. They right now with the prices of watches going down, they shouldn't ban anybody. But well, Caesar, you're an exception. I can see why they would want to why would they want to ban you? You told one of your dad jokes, right? That's what happened. Hey, Mason, how you doing? Service. I just had my nav timer service 7750 movement. It cost me about 700. Whoa. 700 quid for the full service, extra 300 to replace the dial, which had bent feet. Oh, for bent feet. Not cheap, but what is the 7750? That's their chronograph, right? Or somebody's chronograph. That sounds like isn't that an ETA chronograph movement, Mason? Hi, Exta. What size is your collection these days? I've been trying to downsize. Yeah, me too. It depends on what I count. If I count just my top watches, maybe 20. But if I count everything, it's about 30. I have my side collections, like my Jacques 736 collection. Hey, Midlands, let's see. My wearing routine involves switching in order of purchase and only switching when the date is correct on the incoming watch. My God, my dates are never correct. I got to go through the routine, and then I got to wind them through the 12 o'clock to make sure that it's, whether it's morning or evening. Yeah, that's how come I don't like dates. Yes, Brightly in UK, they said 8 weeks, but it turned around in 4. That's not bad. 33.1 is found in the Langenheim. Yeah, Hector, right? That's in the Hector. I thought the Hector was 33.2. Am I right? The center seconds is 0.2. 0.1 is the small seconds down at 6 o'clock. What's the Patek Philippe you'd like to own? I'm not saying. I'll say this: it's a gondolo. In fact, there's more than one gondolo that I like, but I'm not telling you which one. I'm saving up my bucks. I'm gonna get one because the prices are really good now. Any plans for another? Yeah, we're working on number 3 right now. In fact, just this morning I was talking with Nicholas Viderek about, there's so many things to mix together. That's one thing I would like to talk about a little, and I don't know if this is interesting to very many people, but I think to some extent, and this is sort of a post-pandemic phenomena, getting the parts and all of the different parts and getting them in the way they want and everything else is becoming a little dicey right now. The people who make the parts, I don't know what's going on with them, but something's going on. And that I've heard this from different companies. And so uh planning a watch, and the thing that Larique does, much to our chagrin sometimes, every one of our watches has a new movement. Now the difference between Etude number 1 and Etude number 2 wasn't very much, but it was some, just enough to have other things we had to deal with. The difference between Etude number 2 and what we're calling Arizulu is a whole bunch of difference. So we're going into a double retrograde four-handed watch, where everything else had been pretty much a three-handed with an eccentric second. So this new movement now, that, and then on Etude number 4, there's a whole other thing going on with them too. So there's a lot of stuff Larique has, but man, I tell you, we hit some really rough areas with number 2, and so we're trying to avoid that. The watch is wonderful; it turned out great, but some other things that are just a challenge. Let me give you a tip: if you ever have a watch made and you live in the U.S., okay, it may be true. Don't go get a regular either a textile band or a plain cowhide band or a metal band. Don't get anything that's even near exotic. Like we got ostrich. We have an ostrich strap. It's an awesome looking strap. But, I checked, it wasn't on the sites or anything like that. But it turns out that it's part of when in the U.S., it's the Fish and Wildlife Agency. My God, they put us through the ringer on that one. What we finally did, I had them send me all of the bands separately, and then I sent them out to everybody in the U.S. But I had to get a special fish and license, or Fish and Wildlife import license, and everything else. And so the best way to get just get your watches, get the cheapest band possible. And then this is just for the US. I don't know about Europe and Asia and Australia, but just get the watch without the band, and then you can get all these great bands. This is the thing, is that I get bands from ABP Concepts Paris. They make these wonderful bands. They're expensive as all get out, but then every now and then they have a sale, and I jump in on one of those and end up with a $300 band for about $100, somewhere like that. They send it to me. I don't know how they get it through, because it's like a gator band, and that's I guess they got all the paperwork and all of the stuff they need for sites. But man, I tell you, I would not put that on a watch and have them send it over the border, because man, it's just not worth it. It's just no band at all is better than. And then once you're here, you can, and then Asia, you can get a lot of really great bands from Asia too. There are all kinds of bands, and in the U.S. and Canada. Canada's got this guy up there with the unusual name of Combat straps or something like that, combat bands. He makes these perfect bands. They're really great bands that he makes too. I don't know if the U.S. probably has some watchmakers too. Band makers as well. Okay, let's see what you got here. Okay, that was Kevin. That was a very long answer to your question. Mason at 7753 is Valju. 7753 is one of the 369 subdials. So yes, ETA. The reason I asked that, Mason, sometimes a local watchmaker, you can go to a local watchmaker and they can handle ETAs, just about all of them. And that was, and it wouldn't cost you as much, but that's simply, neither here nor there. Value movements, a lot of ETA movements are very good ones because they bought up Value, and Value at one time was considered to be one of the top movement makers around. Hi, Midland. Let's see. What would you buy if you had like 6,000 to spend? Send it to me. And I'll tell you. Oh, right now I got this fantastic um brand new 1950. No, the name was 1950. It was called a Parmigiani Fleurier 1950 is a model loon with the two moons, brand new. I got that one for around 6. That's what I'd get again, because that was this is a matter of what happened is that the guy from, I guess he was from Gucci, took over Parmigiani, and so they started getting rid of all of the older models. Now the the 1950, the Parmigiani Fleurier 1950, or I guess it's called a Tonda 1950, was super popular. They were doing fine selling that thing. But once the new guy took over, he wanted, he wanted to start with nothing from the quote old leadership, which was Michel Parmigiani. I guess they told him just make movements and leave the design to us. It was kind of thing. So if I had 6K, and when I did have 6K, that's like, come on, broke. I don't have anything left. Well, some guy came along and had again, another Parmigiani Ovale pantograph. My God, he had that for a price that was, those things started off. The first one was 110,000. The second one was 55,000, and that was the best deal you could find. If you could find one or the other, the problem was there just weren't that many made, and there was no way that this new guy from Gucci was going to be making this watch with telescopic arms on it, telescopic hands, and so it was like. So I ended up getting both of those watches on really good buys, and now I'm really broke, and so I don't have $6,000. So if they give me my $6,000 back that I bought the Parmigiani Tonda 1950, I'd buy it again. So I guess that's the answer. I don't know if that was the answer to your question or not, but that's what I have. Midlands. Hey James, how you doing? I'd buy a Patek Philippe 5124 pre-2009. Yeah, but those things, about the closest you can get on that Yoko is they're around 10,000-15,000, I thought. Truman, more than 29,000, it's above my budget considering VAT. And Lyrique #1 came up for sale in UK recently. I wasn't in position to buy it, but it was north of 20,000 quid. Wow. Yeah, there aren't that many. They made like 70 of the #1s, and that was a watch. We didn't realize it at the time, but that thing everything went flawless, and we had people from all over the world, and it worked out well. The second one, it turned out, but it was it's still being trying to get everything from those blasted ostrich straps to you name it. Smoko, love my double-sided alligator scale. Yeah, I love those things. I'm not sure how they import them, but I just deal with the U.S. side authorized dealers. Yeah, there's in the U.S. One way is to deal with Jean Rousseau, Jean Rousseau Paris, and all of those are made in Paris, and they ship them back and forth. The band that I got for my Etude #1 is this just this great shiny cherry colored gator band from Jean Rousseau. Great band. But see, I could go over to New York and pick them up at the shop there. I don't have to import them across the border. On the other hand, if I get them from ABP Concepts, I have no idea how they get them to me. I hope to pick up an Eterna Madison sometime in the future. Those use the last in-house movement Eterna made. Very interesting rectangular movements. Oh, how interesting. That is interesting. The HRM, this is what I liked about the Jacquet 736. It was the shape movement. And, you don't see a whole lot of those. Smoko. I've got a Dornbooth and Son Quintus with the Genève stopworks on order. Should arrive next spring. I'm considering making a YouTube video as there is little information or content on their watches. Cool. Jean Rousseau. Love the making custom designs. Pricey, no kidding. I go to the New York shop as well. Yeah, I had, I'll tell you what, I got, my stepson was I got him a Bulgari, Roma. Well, another great deal for a watch with a BVL 199 movement in it. And so he said the band was a little tight. And so I went to Jean Rousseau. What they did before they finally released it, they had him come in and they fit it to his wrist. I mean, you talk about customizing things. I mean, it was sort of like going to a tailor and have a precise tailor job. Yeah, if you get to New York City, just drop by, call them up first. You got to call them up and make an appointment at Jean Rousseau. I was there, I think the last time I was, well, not the last time, but not too long ago I was there, and Michael Cobb was there, and Michael was buying every watch. It was funny. But I went there to see Michael because I heard he was going to be there. He was, and then they bring out these the different skins they have that you can have your just that place is really amazing. So if you love watch bands, that'd be a place to stop by. What I'd like to see is more off the shelf that they have. Well, I guess they do have some pretty much off the shelf ones. I don't remember. I've never tried to buy one, go in the store and says, hey, let me have one that fits this watch. I don't know if you can do that. They all may have to be specially made. Double retrograde movement by Jean-Marc Viderec. That'd be interesting. Yep. Wait a minute. I've got a double retrograde by Jean-Marc Viderec. My Harry Winston Premier by retrograde. That's exactly what it is. The double retrograde of the seconds and the day of the week. They're both retrograde. They both use a snail cam, which I love that snail cam. Just a cool thing. James Bond, a Lyrique 1 sold for 40,000 quid during the pandemic. Well, it must have been very, very late in the pandemic because we actually weren't able to start it until about 2020, late 2021 or 22. I hope to pick up an tournament. Okay, let's see. Exta. How do you feel about central seconds on vintage style watches? This got central seconds. The only thing about central seconds that I'm not crazy about is they make the watch a little thicker. On the other hand, your small seconds are eccentric seconds. You can have a thinner watch. Um, but I like them either way. The one thing about center seconds is that your dial is a lot cleaner. But sometimes I used to have one here. I'd always turn around and pick up. Say, oh, look at this watch. Well, it's gone. This was one I made for my grandson. He finally came to get it. Let's see. Dutch brand Hotchkiss just released their first in-house movement. It has a sapphire balance bridge, so you can see the balance wheel and escapement. I have to visit their workplace. HRM, what town is that in? Is that in Amsterdam by any chance? God, a long time ago, I was at the University of Leiden Law School for a summer term one summer, way back when. And, you take the train up to Amsterdam for, having fun. Actually, I like Leiden. It's a typical college town, very comfortable to be in. I was a college age at the time, so it made more sense. I wish I could find a decent custom leather watch band place in the UK. I'd like a large, medium, rectangular scale gaiter strap. But reputable leather shops all seem to be on the continent or in the Americas. Boy, which was, I think, yeah, they're probably, in Asia, there are a lot of really great Asian straps. The problem is, um, friend of ours, Abdul, in Germany, he ordered some straps from Asia, and as a goodwill token, I said, we're going to throw in one of our gator straps to see how you like that. It was either gator or something else. But anyway, man, that thing, they threatened to sue, to charge him for some huge charge because it was it was either sites illegal or something illegal. And he had to, he that was very difficult. Um, that's why, whatever country you're in, if you can get that watch, the watch band, no matter where it's made, as long as you can get it in the country you're in, then you're okay. But the import price is just horrendous. Evidence 92. Maybe a GPHG win can clear the roadblocks for project number 3. I will look for you guys. Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, ours is in number 2 right now. It's not that it hasn't been produced. We have to get all 102 of them done is what the issue is. And I mentioned early on the parts issue. That's part of it that's held things up. Houten are located in Delft, about an hour away from Amsterdam. It's a really nice place to visit. The birthplace of Delft. The University of Delft. I took a course there from the University of Delft a couple years ago. They had a course on a computer language called Haskell that's based on lambda calculus, and I just love that class. There was something like 30,000 people signed up for it, and I think maybe 1,000 of us eventually finished. And the guy teaching it was a very interesting guy. But yeah, Delft. God, I'd love to visit Delft. Needs sites documentation. Don't mind paying extra for the site stocks, but many places won't risk shipping controlled product. I don't blame them, Messon. It's just it is too much of a hassle. You know what they could do, and it would stop a lot of things. A lot of people I know, you want a gator strap, just tell them put them in a regular envelope and send it, and you'll get your gator strap. You put it on a watch, you put it on a $20,000 watch, and you have they'll send the watch back, and you end up in a world of hurt. So forget about it. Yeah. Anyway, well, look, guys, I tell you, my time is more than up, and I don't want to bore you, but you guys are great to you just have some wonderful things to say today. I really enjoyed it. That's how come I like these unscripted, just so we can screw around and talk about watches anywhere we want to with with no planning, no nothing. Take care, have a great day, and I'm off on chores with my wife.